Hi, I'm Andrew Rich, and if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.
Do you like wrestling trivia? Then check out the 5-Star Match Game, the Pro Wrestling Quiz Show. I'm Joe Gagney. In every episode, I grill 3 contestants with 5 rounds of power-packed wrestling trivia. We have over 30 evergreen episodes in the archives covering WWE, AEW, Japan, Mexico, and much, 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 much more. Play along at home and check it out today.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super Chat. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday 29th of October 2025. This is episode 385. What's going on, Damon? You good?
Yep. It's Halloweeny Eve, isn't it? Yeah. We've talked about this a million times, but don't like Halloween. I don't like people knocking on my door. That's that. All right. So if anyone asks, but you live out in the middle of nowhere. You're gonna get like wild horses knocking on your door, man. It's gonna be great.
We're just going to be here. Actually, we're going to visit my sister at
Nice.
Southampton. So hopefully do some fun Halloween stuff with my nephews and the kids. Should be good. I'm just looking forward to having some good food. There's some nice restaurants down in Southampton. So yeah, that'll be that. I have something very special planned for Halloween. Actually, it's not going to be actually Halloween Day, but it will be soon.
Okay.
And that is, I'm really excited about this. I'm going to do a Patreon bonus episode about my favorite film ever, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 version.
That's great.
And I would like to try to get a special guest on there. I don't want to say who it is in case it falls through, but I think it'll be really fun. I'm excited about it, and I'm going through the process of compiling notes for it, and it's taken me about 3 days so far, and I'm still not finished. Because
Wow.
I'm just absolutely obsessed with this film, and
Why?
I've just been like reading loads of stuff, watching loads of interviews, essays, like behind the scenes stuff, production notes, just because it's so brilliant and I love it so much that I don't want to miss out anything when I talk about it. So this episode might be about 4 hours long because I'm really
That's
into
fun.
it. So it's going to be a good one.
That's incredible. Now, can I grease the pot a little bit? Grease the pot? Is that what I'm trying to? Is this person or people associated with the art of pro wrestling in any way?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'll just say who it is because they've
No.
said that. Okay, no, I won't say who it is. Yeah.
Don't say who it is. Don't spoil it on my behalf. I was just thinking that maybe you had somebody from the film that was hopping on.
Yeah, I got the director, Toby Hooper. He's going to be joining us on the show.
Going to jump on. All right, good. Nice. Remind the audience and remind me, what is the fascination with Friday the 13th? Or excuse me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. My bad.
It's just a perfect film. And pound for pound, I think the greatest film ever.
Wow.
In terms of like what the budget was, the creativity that they used to work around having very, very little money to work with, lack of experience, and ridiculous working conditions. Like everything stacked against this film. Like never in a million years would you have expected it to be as successful and popular as it is, given what they had to work with. So it's just like a tour de force on there's creativity, the resilience of the human spirit.
My God,
it's an incredible piece of art.
I thought you were talking about Goodfellas for a minute there.
It's better than Goodfellas.
Wow, that's something. Now that's saying something. We would have to go battle on that one because I think Goodfellas is the greatest movie ever. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, made in the 70s?
Yeah, 1974. And
wow.
It's such a dense film. Like, there's so much to dig into about how it reflects the era and all the sort of socio-political turmoil going on at the time. And like, whether or not that's intentional, it is absolutely of its time. Like, there's so much, like every scene you can be like, oh yeah, that's, this part of the American society in the 1970s. Oh yeah, this is about this geopolitical event. Even though it's not an explicit reference to it, like it's a definitely more than the sum of its parts.
I can honestly say you are there might be one other person in my life that might be as passionate about it as you are. But I think that you take the cake in the sense that I don't think anyone, and I could be wrong, listening can pull out those deeper, like, again, on the surface, it's a hack and slash film. But you're finding all these little nuggets, these little gems that maybe the untrained eye aren't seeing, correct?
Yeah, that would be fair. Just because I'm just so fascinated with it. It's there's like so much stuff that's been written about it. There's an incredible book written by one of the actors, Gunnar Hansen, called Chainsaw Confidential, where it just goes into just so much fascinating stuff about the production of the film and all the backstage things and the creative ways that they managed to get around and create certain effects and use the power of suggestion and inference rather than explicitly showing stuff. And it's just really groundbreaking. Like, there's no other film quite like it. Like, it was groundbreaking at the time, and still, even since then, I don't think any film has managed to come close to it in terms of creating the same sense of sustained menace and horror, like unrelenting horror, not with any kind of explicit violence or gore, but just from like tone and character and costume and set design and sound design. It's just it's just an intricate tapestry of brilliance.
I'm actually kind of blown away at the passion that you have for this. I really am. It's I don't think I've heard anyone in my entire life go on about as you with Texas. That's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm glad that you're into it. I think it's amazing. But yeah, you're the first, man. You are the first. Congratulations.
Yeah, it might be the best audio I have ever or will ever done. I've not even done it yet, but I can just tell by how much I've put into it. There's no way it's not going to be good.
I will listen to it just to hear, like, you're just to hear that juice, like the fucking. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, if people aren't into it, trust me, I'm right there with you. If you're shaking your head like, what the fuck is he going on about? Like, trust me, I get it. But, I'm kind of into it because you're so into it. You know what I mean? I want to hear this fucking thing. So, all right, good. I'm into it. Let's go. I want to hear this audio. When are you doing it?
I don't know yet. Might be doing it Sunday night. That's okay. Right before I go back to work, so I don't really want to do it, but I will enjoy doing it. So maybe I'll just do it then.
All right. Okay. I mean, I'm sure you'll let everyone know, but yes, I mean, I kind of feed off your energy off this, so I'm looking forward to it. All right. Excellent. I wish I had that much passion for a junior tag league.
Yeah, listeners, you should do your homework. Like, go and watch the film at some point this week, and then my audio can be like an accompaniment to that.
Should I watch it before or should I watch it after? Because I'm not going to pick up on all the subtleties.
No, watch it before and form your own opinion of it. then listen
All
to
right.
my audio, then watch it again.
Oh boy, that ain't good. I mean, you know who you're talking to here, right? Like the last movie I think I saw was probably fucking. I couldn't even tell. The last movie I saw was The Iron Claw. That was the last movie I saw. So, well, I mean, I'm not a big movie guy, Joel. You know that.
No, well, you might not be the target audience for this, but I think, like, even if you haven't watched the film, I think it will be enjoyable and informative anyway. But like, listeners, like, definitely watch the film. It's fucking great.
All right, here it is. Let's do it. Have you ever met the cast? Have you ever gone to like a horror convention and met any of the
No.
cast?
No,
No.
I think several of them have passed away. I've missed the boat there.
Oh.
But
All right. Well, won't they rise from the grave and just fucking no?
no, this
No,
is
no.
the whole view of it. It's not a supernatural film at all. That's what makes it so horrifying. It's grounded in reality.
Wow. All right. I don't know. Have you ever sat with the family and watched it?
I think me and
It's a
Malik
little too
watched
much for
it.
kids. Okay.
Oh god, I'm not watching it with my kids. Absolutely
All
not.
right. I'm just asking. I don't know. All right. No, you never. You would. It's totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
But you've watched it with the missus.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. And what was her thoughts?
It didn't really resonate with her. Like she's
No.
just because of her cultural background. Like the stuff that she finds scary is more like ghost related things. Because like in Thailand, it's all about ghosts and supernatural and afterlife and all that, like vengeful spirits. I think that's just sort of like a generic Asian thing. So that's the sort of stuff she finds scarier.
I thought you were going to say the fact that she married a wrestling fan was the most horrifying.
That's also horrifying. Yeah.
She's just, oh my god, I can't believe I'm living this nightmare. All right, look, I think we have everyone excited. Everyone's looking forward to this. I can't wait. But I will say this: I can't see me sitting watching it twice. But so I would rather watch it with your audio if I'm going to do this. I would rather do that.
Yeah, well, I think even if I would say watch it first, and then when you listen to it, I think you will sort of retroactively enjoy it more. I don't know.
Remember?
Maybe
Okay.
you should watch it afterwards. Have you seen
That's
it
what I'm
before?
saying. No,
You've never watched it?
Joel. No, I don't watch. I haven't watched. Again, the last fucking movie I saw was The Iron Claw. All right. Before that was probably. I don't fucking know. Batman.
Watch it first then, because if you listen to the audio first, then it will spoil it. I think you need an unspoiled, unfiltered first
Right.
pressing experience of the film.
All right, but I can't watch it at night because I'll get nightmares.
Yeah.
Pee my pants.
Yeah, absolutely will.
I will pee my pants. All right. Sounds good. All right, where else? What else we got? Who's mad at
I
us
just
this
want
week?
to plug one more thing,
All right,
if
no
I
problem.
may, if you
Yes.
indulge me. So I
By all
did a bit of solo audio, some music talk, which is called opening level tracks from side-scrolling beat 'em ups that go unnecessarily hard. So I picked out 6 side-scrolling beat 'em ups and talked about the music from the opening level of all of those games. Now, like the actual bit of me talking is rubbish. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to music. So it's horrendous. But I have put the music in there. So if you just like listening to like kick-ass video game music, then you will enjoy that too. So yeah, that's up on the Patreon as well. So that was fun to do, even though I'm pretty much talking out of my ass when it comes to music.
I don't think that's sexual at all. What show is this one?
It's called Opening Level Tracks from Side-Scrolling Beat 'em Ups That Go Unnecessarily Hard.
That's the name of the show.
That's the name of the show, yeah.
Okay. And who is
It's
where
catchy.
where? What's that?
It's catchy. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where are you a fan of this show? Did this show reach out to you? How did this come about?
No, it's not. No, it's just like a bonus episode I did by myself on the Patreon.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It's
gotcha.
just me by
Okay.
myself.
Oh, I thought there was somebody reached out to you, but that's still awesome as well. Excellent. The video game music, the horror movies, the pro wrestling. My God, what a fucking nerd!
I was going to do
come on.
something on the Taiji Ishimori produce show. Superhuman
Oh,
Taiji
good.
Ishimori gets even more ridiculous, but I can't. I can't bring myself to do it. I've got to be judicious about the amount of wrestling content I consume.
Yeah, that's a little much. And I'll throw up a couple years more in the vault, probably maybe this weekend. If I have a little time, I'll chuck up some more stuff. I've actually been watching a lot of, not a lot per se, but I kind of got into this. One of my favorite all-time wrestlers, for those who don't know, is Adrian Adonis. I think he's tremendous. Again, the horrific homophobic gimmick aside, those years. But even then, I think he was pretty underrated in the ring. But even before that, I just found him to be totally fucking excellent, right? And he had this stint in Southwest Championship Wrestling, and I've been watching a little bit of that. Like they had Sunday shows before WWF took over the spot. Southwest was on a cable network here in the States, the USA Network, and Sunday mornings at 11 or 10. And I remember watching it and being like, "Oh my god, this is so weird." But then there was Adrian Adonis, and I knew him, and I liked him back then. I don't know. So I've just been watching a lot of those shows. Tully Blanchard is there. Tully Blanchard's in a feud with Bob Sweetan. Adonis wins their version of the world title. They had a mini tournament. He defeats in the finals Cowboy Bob Orton. Who else? Ricky Morton and pre Rock and Roll Express. It's Ricky Morton and who the fuck is the other guy he's with? I want to say Scott Casey, but I know that's not right. But Scott Casey is there. Ivan Putski is there for a brief shot. It's just weird. It's just a weird, low budget, low rent Southwest. I think they're based out of San Antonio, where they do the TV. 1982. So I don't know. I'm just loving it. I'm fucking just incredibly loving it. It's bringing back memories. So that's my kick right now. My Southwest.
Is there a modern equivalent of Adrian Adonis, or is he totally unique?
He's
are there any wrestlers who were inspired by him?
Who would be an equivalent? He didn't have a great body. He had even in his peak, he was a little rotund around the waist. But he could bump like a motherfucker. His bumps were just ridiculous. I'm trying to think who would be a modern equivalent for fucking Adrian Adonis. That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer. But he did this gang biker gimmick. He had this black leather jacket and this choker and shit and the shades. I'm really trying to think of a modern equivalent. I'd have to think about it. But he was decent in when I say decent, he was pretty. I mean, kind of mid-card New Japan guy. He was always in the tag tournaments and shit. I think he had a good 2-year, not completely full time, but he would come in tours, tag league and shit like that. And he did really well there. Actually, I have in Japan, they would have these picture books just based off of individual wrestlers. I have a Tiger Mask one, I have a Terry Funk one, and then there's one with it's Adonis and Murdoch, and it's just all pictures, 100 pages of pictures. I don't know why I'm talking about Adrian Adonis he's fucking.
There's not much else to talk about, mate. So please keep going.
Whack on. I love him. He's just one of the guys. I truly believe was at the time he was probably 82, 83-ish, one of the top 5 U.S. based workers. I really truly will go to my grave with that one. Completely underrated. And again, I think he's more known for the gimmick, the flower shop and all that shit and the over-the-top bullshit that he was doing. But him and Ventura in AWA was pretty good. His run in WWF challenging Backlund. Some of those matches were just outstanding. They had a lumberjack match from Landover, Maryland that went about 40 minutes that I thought was one of Backlund's best matches. He did an hour with Backlund. I want to say Madison Square Garden. I could be wrong. Maybe it was Philly. I thought that was fantastic. I don't know, man. I loved him and Dick Murdoch as a tag team. I thought they were awesome. I don't know. I was just a huge fan of his. I was a big Adrian Adonis fan. I still am. And then
could you give like a recommendation for like a match that you think
Backlund? Yeah, him and Backlund, Landover, Maryland. I think I think a lumberjack match. That's fantastic. Even like again stuff he did with Dick Murdoch against the Briscoes for the WWF title tag belts. I thought those matches were great. But his run in WWF with against Backlund was pretty fantastic. I thought. I think if you watch those matches you'd enjoy.
Okay, I'm going to check some of that out. It's a real blind spot. Like I've not watched a huge amount of. Would it be offensive to call it historical stuff?
It is. I mean, it's what over was it 40 years ago? Probably. Yeah. Yeah, it's a long time. When I think about it, I just want a tear comes to my eye. But yeah, that's. But I love all those like territory wrestling shows because
so does Kiddo.
Yeah, he sure does. But I don't know, like there is something about, and I guess this is nostalgia across the board, but it's like, okay, a guy makes his debut and you heard about him in the After magazines, but you never saw him because he wasn't on your regular TV. He makes an appearance or he makes an appearance on your regular TV, but you've read about him in the After magazines. There was something about not having everything at your fingertips that made things somewhat cooler. But again, all those territories, Mid-South and UWF and Portland was crazy. And, all those Texas territories, you had World Class, you had Blanchard with Southwest, you had, I think Dory Funk ran a territory too, like in the El Paso area. I think Continental and Memphis, and of course, Crockett in the Mid-Atlantic area, and Vince in New York. It's a whole thing. I don't know. I find that era to be probably my favorite of all of it, just because of, I know what I like doing, and some people have created these things. They have they took a year, like 1991, and they would just do January, and they would just do like matches and angles from all these different promotions in that time frame. So it's just kind of cool to be like, oh, here's what's going on in All Japan, 1991 January. Oh, here's that angle in WWF. Oh, here's the WCW stuff. Oh, here's World Class, and here, that kind of stuff. I love that. I try to do that all the time, like just to kind of be like, all right, or I'll get like an old Observer and I'll read like the territory, what's going on in the territory at that time, and then I'll go back and watch it. I don't know. I just I don't know what it is about me that I do that a lot. Like I do that with music too. Like I'll have like I have this Oasis song encyclopedia kind of, and it's every song. They have like a blurb about every song, why it was written, how it was written, blah blah blah, and then I'll go listen to the song, and then I'll read the next one. But I do that a lot with a lot of different things. So that's why I kind of like the idea of watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, I was going to say you're just like me, but just with different orders. We both got those sorts of personalities where we get really into something and just want to just be like a sponge, like just suck up every little bit of knowledge there is about that and just totally immerse yourself in it.
But mine lasts for 2 or 3 weeks. like yours lasts longer than that, and then like my endorphins dry up, and then I find the next fix. So yeah, but yes, very similar. Very similar. I mean, but again, it's pretty legendary, the dumb shit that I get into for like 3 weeks and then never fucking pick it up. Although I will say my bass, I have been, that's one thing, like all year, I've kind of, like the only time I kind of slowed down a little bit was the summer when I was going away. But I've been playing it all the time. Like, and it's weird. It's like, there is something magical about it, like in the sense of, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but like I'm looking at it right now, and it's just like the neck and the frets and the notes and the strings and all that stuff, and it's just like songs come from that. Like if you know how to make that thing talk, you can do great things, you know?
It's magic. It's magic, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And like and again, not that we're getting into like deep philosophical bullshit here, but I feel that way about hockey. Like when I go to cover the games, in between periods, they have the Zamboni come out and scrape the ice and wet it down. It's a clean sheet of ice. I'm just like, now possibilities are endless now. I do that every time in my head. Like, it's a clean sheet of ice. It's a clean sheet of ice. I wonder what magic will occur now. But I do that. All right, there you go. There's Philosophy 101 from Damon. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, yeah, it's Super Junior Tag League.
Yep.
Pants down, everyone.
Go ahead, say it.
About Super Junior Tag League. It's been fine. It's been good. It's exactly what I expected. It's high floor and low ceiling. I think everything that I've watched has kind of trended between like 2 3/4 stars to 4 stars. There's been nothing offensively bad. There's been nothing that's making the shortlist for match of the year. It's been perfectly fine stuff to have on in the background. And yeah, as I said last time, I think if you watch the Korakuen shows, that'll probably do. You'll be fine. We'll catch you up. We'll let you know what the standings are and what the permutations are and the scenarios going into the final night. But what is stopping it from being great is the lack of established teams. And that was something that Francesco Akira was talking about when he was doing the co-commentary at Korakuen Hall. And he's got a point. Like, we're really missing the teams of like Clark and Driller and Catch 2-2 and Kevin Knight and Kushida. So
yeah, Fish and what was who? Bobby Fish and
Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly.
We're going back a bit there, but I mean, the teams that I listed are even like within the last 12 months. So each of those has got Akira's injured, TJP has burnt his bridges, Kevin Knight not a junior anymore. Like I understand why those teams and Drillers moved up, so I understand why they're not teams anymore. But like the slapdash nature of the way the teams were assembled makes it difficult to get invested in any of them, because we're all questioning the long-term viability. Like, are any of these teams going to continue to be teams after Super Junior Tag League? And if you sort of strip away those teams, then it's just like the same old, really. You got the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Doki and Sho, Yo and Watto. Like, those are the 3 teams that you'd say, like, okay, right, this I suppose is the core of our junior tag league division at the moment. And they're good, but there's nothing really exciting there. Like, we're really lacking a new team, a bit of new blood to get excited about. The way that the Knockout Brothers have rejuvenated the heavyweight tag division, we need something there. And I feel like they could have done that if they'd been a bit bolder with some of their choices, because they've got young lions who are junior heavyweight adjacent. We've got Daiki Nagai in this tournament. I don't know what is up with Murashima or Kato, why they're not in this tournament. Like, are they not healthy, or are they not seen as junior heavyweights? I don't know, but it feels like if they've been a little bit more adventurous, they could have done something with like Daiki Nagai at least. Paired him up with someone, I don't know, like forked out the money to get Titan in the tournament and done Daiki Nagai and Titan, and that could have been like the hot new team for the junior tag division to get people excited. So as it is, everything's been fine to good, but there's nothing really to get your blood pumping.
No, there's not. Now I will take a slightly different spin on things when we kind of talk about the haphazard nature of the way that they threw it together. A lot of the teams, there are a few that you would think, okay, faction allegiances are going to dictate these guys being a team and so forth. I kind of liked the idea of a lot of these teams being kind of first timer teams or newer, fresher partners, maybe not newer, fresher faces, but just different scenario, a new coat of paint, if you will. I kind of liked that, and I kind of like it with this tournament. It feels like they, like on the surface, you could say, they just slapped these fucking things together, and we're just trying to get through this to get to the other side, right? And it's not like they're bringing in a ton of fresh faces that we were very spoiled with in previous years. And again, if you are into the tag team wrestling, it is nice to have that. One of the things that makes tag team wrestling special is the idea of established tag teams, and they're made for tag team wrestling. There is something to be said about that, yes. So it is kind of hard to kind of sink your teeth into who are these people, why am I rooting for them, aside from factions and what you've already established with them in other areas. But I do like it. It's fresh, but it's not like exciting fresh, if that makes any sense. Like nothing's going to be like, oh, I hope this team stays around for a long time, or oh, imagine these guys going having a nice. It's kind of like, okay, nothing's really spectacular. I would say nothing's great. I would say it's interesting. That's kind of where I'm at. It's interesting to see that's not. See, I was going to say a bad word, and it's not the dregs. It's not the dregs of the junior heavyweight division. It just seems a little bit unfocused and unplanned. I'm okay for it. It's the junior tag league. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over it. But in the same breath, it could be great. It could be great. And it just doesn't seem like there was a lot of thought process going into how to make this great. It was kind of like, oh, we got this thing on the calendar. How are we going to fucking get from point A to point B?
And I'd also say another ceiling on my personal enjoyment of the division is the fact that Sho and Doki are the champions. So that's limiting it somewhat. It's not like we can see at the end of this tournament we're going to have like some killer match that's going to set the world on fire between the two exciting junior heavyweight teams. Like it's going to be a match that involves Sho, which has limitations on it. So I think it's going to be tough to get excited about division until the belts are off of them. And look, I don't mind House of Torture when it stays in its lane. It serves a purpose. So I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram too violently because House of Torture are holding the junior tag belts. It's the junior tag belts, like who cares? But it's just hard not to compare it to how it has been, over the last year, 2 years, where we had all those exciting teams that I mentioned before, and there was a real sort of renaissance for the division. I know that's the nature of pro wrestling, isn't it? Things are cyclical, so that's the next challenge for whoever's booking it to try and come up with something interesting in that. And it's just funny that the guy who is, supposedly got the book for the company was a junior tag guy. Still is a junior tag guy, but the whole thing just feels like an afterthought.
It's that weird junior dynamic thing. It does sometimes feel like it's an afterthought to this company, but again, I think we were spoiled, and this is just one of those years where it's like, these are the cards that we have been dealt. Now, I'll ask this: the idea of, at least to this point, and again, we're recording on the 29th, Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. We still have Thursday and Friday shows, should I say? Do you like the fact that up until this point, it feels like there are definitive paths for just a few teams, and it's not like this hodgepodge of mixed, splitting the difference and everybody's level, and we're going to wait till the final night to fucking, it feels like there's 3 teams on the path to winning this thing.
I like that. I like the clarity of it, especially given what we've laid out. The fact that a lot of these teams have been, thrown together at the last minute. They're not in the kayfabe. They're not experienced with tagging with each other, so you wouldn't expect them to be in the mix, especially as compared to wrestlers who have been sustained as a tag team for an extended period of time. So I think it's good, actually. I like the fact that they eliminated a lot of the teams early. Some I was a bit surprised about, but on the whole, I would say that's what you would expect to see in a sports context, isn't it? You have your heavy favourites doing well, stacking up the points, like in the English Premier League, where we've got Arsenal running away with it. That's art imitating life. So, I think it's good. I think there's a time and a place to have the sort of parity booking and have lots of people in the mix coming into the latter stages of the tournament, but this isn't one of them. I think given the nature of this tag league, it makes perfect sense, and it's the right decision to just get rid of all the chaff and have the stronger teams showcased and there towards the end of the tournament.
1,000% agree. 1,000%. I like the idea of, in a strange way, it's solidifying, like all of our gripes. Well, they're trying to fix it, and it feels like they're trying to fix it within this tournament a little bit. Yo and Wato, we figured would be somewhat of a healthy future as a tag team, but as of today, they're undefeated. Doki and Sho, so they're your tag champs. So they've already been, we'll put in air quotes, established. They're undefeated, and then an established team, as much as an established team as we can get, of Eagles and Fujita. So again, at 4-0. So yeah, I dig that. I think that's. I like the idea of, okay, these are the teams that we're going with for the foreseeable future. And I think that's important, because if, Tiger Mask and Yamato, you know what I mean? Like if they were in the mix still to this day, I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, no, they should be 0-4. The one that kind of does surprise me, and I know that we talked about it, I believe last week, was Hiromu and Geto, just at 1-3. I thought they would be a little bit more. Maybe there's more to do. Who knows? But the other one was Clark Connors and Danny Nagai. I was like, to not have a point as of recording today, I think that might change. But like, I thought that was kind of odd too. But again, I like the idea of establishing teams, and then we'll figure out what to do with the people who didn't quite make the cut. We'll figure out what to do for them later down the road.
Yeah, I'll say the same for Desperado and Kukai, because they challenged for the tag titles recently. So I thought, oh, okay, so this is going to be a serious team, but now they've only got 2 points. So I was like, huh, okay. And again, not complaint, just interesting that they chose to book it the way that they have done.
Now, up until this point, we haven't had. We've had some good matches, but I will say that I think it's tomorrow. Show is tomorrow the Doki Sho Yo Wato match. I think so. Battle of 4-0s, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Like, I like that element. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the next night, Friday night, it's a 3-1 team, Ishimori and Robbie X, going against a 4-0 team, the TMDK team, which I think is cool. So again, I like the idea of, okay, we're going to the end. We got undefeated teams. Somebody's got to fucking lose. Yeah, makes it a little bit more interesting. Look, this has been a speed run of a tournament. Like, it felt like it started and we're right against the end. It's been fast and furious. Again, nothing that I would say go out of your way to watch this. The main events have been good, like you said. Everything else has been kind of in the middle. But I do like the way that this one's been booked, Joe. I actually really find this to be a nice, refreshing concept of, strong teams, just like in real sports, and then teams that are just fucking bottom feeders, and that's fair. You're going to lose. Sorry, you're not a good established team, and they're kind of anchoring that with this tournament. I like it.
There's also been some stuff that I found quite interesting outside of the tournament itself. There have been some undercard Young Lion matches with Zane J, and I think he took the place of Murashima. I think Murashima was ill, so I've been quite impressed from what I've seen with Zane J so far. There was an image surfaced online of his headshot, like the photo that he had for his application when he was first joining the dojo, and he's an incredibly good-looking man. He's like this lovely, like flowing locks. Just like, wow, he's dreamy. Obviously, shaved all the hair off now, but I'm seeing the potential there. He could be a real hunk if and when he's allowed to grow the hair back. But yeah, he's been given a couple of showcase spots there. There was a tag match where, and again, he was a late replacement, but he was tagging with Tanahashi against Shingo and Tsuji. I think that was on night one at Korakuen. And then he had a singles match against Kushida the following night. And that was really interesting because Kushida gave him a lot. Really, really generous performance from Kushida, made him look good. The crowd were into him. So it's the kind of situation like when Kushida is working hard to make someone else look good, then it makes me sort of sit up and go, oh, okay, right, this is someone worth paying attention to. So he'll probably join AEW in about 18 months.
Got to check in on that condo in Tampa. Yeah, he's a guy that sometimes you even forget he works for this company. But again, I still think the ship has sailed on doing anything with him at this point. But yeah, he's just incredibly talented. Look, say what you will about his adventures in the United States, whether it was a positive, a negative, whether he became a more well-rounded, universally known commodity doing that. Who knows, right? I think the jury's still out on that. That said, he's incredibly talented. Like, he's really fucking good. Again, I'm not saying we're going to turn back the hands of time and belt him up, but when he's in there, you do feel a sense of things have a really good chance of being good. When he's in the ring, he's certainly not washed by any stretch of the imagination. And again, he's got plenty to share when it comes to knowledge and young guys in the ring. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. Unfortunately, I think he'll go down as one of the most underrated New Japan guys. And I'm talking top to bottom, right? Like from all time. Like I just feel like he's just one of those guys that, I don't know, if you could just be a couple inches taller, I think he'd be a
baller.
Yeah, I really do. We would talk about him in much higher regard. I really do believe that.
Yeah, but I think he's still got a lot of value to offer in terms of training and being in the dojo, and maybe that's what he enjoys doing now. So, like, perhaps he gets a lot of satisfaction and creative fulfillment out of helping bring through guys like Zane J and the next generation of wrestlers. So, just wanted to single out Zane J for some praise. I hear he's getting some praise backstage as well. So, yeah, it's looking good. I'd say keep an eye on him going forward. Just another little thing was one of the shows, I forget which one, but Yuto Ice was having some stare downs with Tanahashi and attacked him after the bell in one of their matches. Yeah. So I know they're from the same hometown, and they're both from Gifu, I think. And it would be a real shame if we didn't get a singles match between the two of them before Tanahashi retired. So it seems like they're hinting at that. I don't know when they do it, but
the Dome.
Yeah, I think they should do it.
The Dome. I mean,
yeah, could be the backup option.
Yeah, well, we might need it. Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine that spot that he's going to have if just wherever it does happen, and we're assuming it will happen. Imagine that nice little spot. That's a good job coming in. making this gimmick his own. Again, it's not for everybody, but it's not meant to be. But establishing and putting a fucking anchor down on the heavyweight side of tag things, and then getting that little spot, that's not bad. Good for him. It's a nice. That's a nice night. He'll remember. I'm sure. Good job.
All right. Well, let's look at these blocks then. So, how am I going to do this? A block is, like you said, Yo and Master Wato on 8 points and Doki and Sho on 8 points. So they are going to face off to determine the block, and that's it. All the other teams are eliminated. There's been some fun stuff in this block. Taguchi and Dragon Diary are surprisingly good. They've exceeded my admittedly very low expectations, but Taguchi had his annual good match on night 2 against Sho and Doki. And again, one of these situations where House of Torture helps to elevate the opponents with the crowd investment. It was a nice blend of, like, they did all comedy at the start, and then Taguchi got angry towards the end and started slapping the House of Torture guys, and the crowd got into that. Furthering my agenda that Taguchi should be Tanahashi's retirement opponent, because he can still go. The crowd are still into him. But yeah, that was good to see Taguchi getting his good match of the year out of the way. Yeah, that was quite fun. What else was good? So Yo and Master Wato. I don't know a huge amount to say about these. Spiritech, they're called. I didn't realize that they have a name, Spiritech. They've been solid. Your classic Fujoshi bait. Good wrestlers. The matches have been good. They're just deeply uninteresting to me. Right. I mean, I'd say they're sort of more on the side of a relatively established tag team. So I expect them to beat Doki and Sho and to go through to the finals. I don't have a problem with that. I think they're both guys who have proven when they get the tap on the shoulder that they can deliver high level performances. So yeah, absolutely fine with them winning the block and going through to the final, but it's of no interest to me. Like, I don't know if that's a bit of a contradiction, but I just like, yeah, they're good, but I don't care about them at all.
Yeah, they're I don't need to beat a dead horse. They're not my favorite. And the fact that they're together is kind of funny in the sense that at least they're killing two birds with one stone here. To me, that we talked about this weeks ago, how, if we had to pick a winner, that would probably be a good pick. And if they're feuding over the junior titles, presumably, why not? Then they have something to do on the big show, and yeah, we kind of get them out of the mix of anything that's, incredibly too important.
Away from the important stuff.
Right. Now, that's not to say that we won't see the usual opening junior tag 3-way match that Wrestle Kingdom is famous or infamous for. I'm not saying that's out of the question. They could probably find a way to do that, because truth be told, I don't necessarily see Robbie Eagles and Fujita doing much of anything for Wrestle Kingdom, right? So wouldn't that make the most sense to have a 3-way there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still holding out hope that Fujita's going to somehow find himself in contention for the junior heavyweight title, but who knows with that one?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you maybe, but okay. So, but if not, and I would give it like a 30-40% chance of that happening. I mean, we got a pre-baked, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, that would be a great opening 10 minutes with all three of those teams. I think that could be absolutely fun, and a good way to start the show. So I'm kind of leaning that way, but I'm not holding my breath for any scenario, to be quite honest with you.
We've got Hiromu and Gedo who are on 2 points, and there have been fun dynamics in their matches. I liked their match with Daiki Nagai and Clark Connors with the kind of crossed allegiances there, and Gedo kept helping Clark and Hiromu was helping a guy, like, the old habits died hard, they couldn't help themselves. But I've enjoyed the chemistry between Hiromu and Gedo a lot more than I thought I would. It's been quite fun to see Hiromu making Gedo do things he doesn't want to do, like he was making him do the running splashes on the outside, or he was I think this was night 3 main event. He was calling for the Superfly splash.
Right.
The camera zoomed in on Gedo's face. He was like, "What the fuck? I don't want to do a Superfly splash." So that's been quite fun. Like, I've enjoyed the dynamics between the two of them. So Daniel says, "Are Gedo and Hiromu the best comedy tag team ever?" And Liliana says, "I'm wondering if we will see more tag matches with unaffiliated War Dogs, like maybe Finlay and Suji." I mean, I would hope that they are doing something more important than fucking about in the tag division, but for like maybe like a one-off match or two, I could see the potential there. But I mean, going back to the first question, Gedo and Hiromu, a nice little treat in this tag league. I wasn't expecting them to be as fun as they are, but the dynamics between them, with Hiromu being like the crazy enthusiastic guy and Gedo being like, I'm too old for this shit, but then sort of reluctantly agreeing to do it in the end, has been a lot of fun to watch.
Who's the best comedy wrestler
in New Japan?
And we'll leave it try to leave it at New Japan, but you can go outside of it. I
would say Stalker Ichikawa. He's the best. He's the master out of it. In New Japan, it's Taguchi, I would say.
Taguchi.
It doesn't always land, but when he's on, he's on.
Yano, I think, would be in that mix, right?
Yeah,
you think that's overplayed? How about a guy like,
does he count as a comedy wrestler with Wheel San?
All right. How about the great? And I'm digging up a name here from the past. Colt Cabana. What do you think of the Colt Cabana as a comedy wrestler?
He was like funny in as much as you see him do something, go, right, oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah, that's good. But okay. He never actually made me laugh.
Okay, all right. I'll say something that when he would do it, and just some of the facial expressions that he would give, and some of the not. Okada was pretty good at the comedy.
What do you mean was? He is a comedy.
He is. Well, now he is, bitch. But yeah, I felt like when he would be put in those spots, like wacky tag matches and dumb shit, like I kind of enjoyed him working the comedy stuff. I sort of did. I'm trying to think of like who else would be a fucking comedy wrestler in New Japan that I would be like, okay, yeah, this I'm buying a ticket for this. Not many. I'm not a big fan of the comedy wrestler, to be quite honest with you.
I did hear that the Tanahashi versus Stalker Ichikawa match was really funny. I've not seen it myself, but I heard a lot of good things. And all the little I've seen from Stalker Ichikawa, I've found the gimmick very entertaining. And there's a lot of like the DDT wrestlers who are quite funny. Like the recent show they did with the Yano versus Super Sasadango Machine, where the breakdown on that on Patreon. That was really funny as well. Like very well structured, like good execution of the gags. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but like DDT are the masters of comedy wrestling, and in small doses, it's really good.
Yeah, I as wacky as it sounds, I never get his name, and people are going to scream at me. Who's the guy? DDT. He's like the cop. He has the gun. And he always threatens to shoot people. I don't know why I like him. I forget his name. Anyway, all right. Block B.
Yeah. No, I'm still on Block A. Clark Connors and Daiki Nagai. No, I've got nothing to say. It's a disappointment. Like I feel that's a missed opportunity.
I agree.
Where they could and should be doing more with Daiki Nagai, but what are you going to do? Templario and Jacob Austin Young, they're on 2 points. I've enjoyed them a lot. I think Templario has been underutilized. I got excited hearing that he was signed or part of United Empire, whatever it was. So it's nice that they finally got him in, and I think there's been a lot of fun interactions he's had. Like he did a good Flippies segment with Dragon Diarrhea. That was really good. And I want to throw some love for Jacob Austin Young, who I think the crowds are really getting into him. He got a big pop from the crowd when he pinned Gedo. Like they were into that. They found that very exciting. And even though they've lost all the rest of their matches, it's those little baby steps that's how you progress in New Japan, isn't it? Like you start off as the white meat lost post, the pin eater, and then you start getting pins over the young lions, and then you're in a tag league and you got a pin over Gedo. Like, this is how it begins. And I'm not saying that Jacob Austin Young is storming his way to the top of the junior heavyweight division, but I definitely think there's something there. And by the work rate and turning up every week and showing good attitude and solid wrestling chops, that's the sort of thing that I feel New Japan fans value, and I think they're starting to get behind him. So it'd be interesting to track that and see if he could maybe squeeze his way into Best of the Super Juniors next year or something, because I think there's a lot of upside in Jacob Austin Young. Doki Show got nothing. I don't want to talk about
them. Yeah, I mean, they got to restock the cupboards. It's like all the things that we talked about with the teams, and all the things that we talked about we like the idea of established teams and so forth. They kind of have to do that across the board when it comes to the juniors, and kind of replenish the talent pool, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I think the pool that they have is solid. They just have to do their due diligence in making people give a fuck about them. And their track record isn't always 5 stars, let's put it that way. So fingers crossed.
All right, so going into B block, then I'm just going in the order that they are in the nice little graphics on the New Japan website. So Despi and Kukai have got only 2 points. So yeah, that's been a bit of a surprise, because I've liked what I've seen from Kukai so far, and I thought they might be sort of trying to do something with the pair of them as an established, semi-long-term tag team. But we've got a question here from Roa, who says, it's been a while since New Japan made a play for Japanese freelancers, and Kukai has impressed a lot of people. Do you think he should be a full-timer moving forward? And I think so. Yeah, I think I would like to see more of this, where New Japan are looking more creatively to bring in new talent to the company, because obviously they've got their dojo system, which is tried and tested. But I think the way things are going with Western talent and the inevitability of them joining AEW, I think it's good for them to explore alternative sources of talent, and people like Kukai, guys who not getting that much exposure and are doing sort of a variety of independent circuits, both in Japan and in Mexico. I think that should be the future play, right? And people like Kukai, and I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about a wrestler called Yutani, who has been making some waves on the independent circuits, both in Japan and Mexico. So yeah, just being a bit more creative and having to look a bit harder for the talent. And yeah, some of the guys in Taka Michinoku's promotion in Just Tap Out, like we saw in the show that they did in Taichi's hometown a couple of weeks ago, the muscular guy, Tsukamoto, I think his name was. The talent is out there, and this is not me saying like these are future world champions, but there's definitely enough talent there with a bit of creativity. You can restack those benches and find guys who are not going to be getting the first plane out to Jacksonville as soon as they get a bit of buzz.
Yeah, it seems like they're. I have no confirmation of this, but does it feel to you that there is like a little shift in how they do, how they get through a calendar year, in the sense of there's not a lot of buzz, and whoever asked that question is kind of right, in the sense that it doesn't feel like New Japan is in the business of scouting talent, signing talent, other than stuff that they produce homegrown. Again, I've said before, I like the idea of Japan having multiple promotions and all of them being successful, and all the things that make that entire scene fun and enjoyable if you like different styles of pro wrestling. That said, yeah, it wouldn't hurt them to do that. And I don't know if that's a financial thing where they're just like, all right, we're laying low when it comes to that kind of stuff, or maybe they need to see more. I don't know. That is a great question. But it's not like it doesn't feel like that's a thing on their radar, at least it feels like, for the foreseeable future. I honestly, it feels like they are kind of, when it comes to that kind of stuff, they're treading water for Aaron Wolf. Like, that's probably the biggest name that's come out in the past 2 or 3 years to that New Japan. I mean, and rightfully so, mind you. But that said, it's like they have all their eggs in that basket, and it doesn't feel like it's been a while since, oh, this guy signed or this guy showed up and they're going to work with him on a more regular basis. I mean, we do have an IWGP champion that you could kind of say that, but yeah, it doesn't feel like that's in their foreseeable future when it comes to kind of saying, oh, this guy's really good from this promotion. Let's swipe him up.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of sort of stocking the undercard and the mid card and looking for young guys, they've got a unique opportunity in being the market leaders in Japan, or at least I believe that they are, and having that reputation. So the less heralded guys working independents want to come to New Japan. You know, that's the big leagues for them, for someone who's born in Japan. So I think they should, and they would benefit from sort of flexing that muscle a bit more and looking on the independents and sort of being able to hoover up talent like that before, you know, they end up at an All Japan or a Noah or a DDT, for example. Because you'd imagine that for guys who are not signed to one of those major promotions, that's New Japan would be, like that would be, you'd imagine, the first choice for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, it is a little bit different in the sense of there's always the loyalty, and this was the company I started with, and this is the company that took a chance with me, so I'm going to remain loyal to them, and I'm going to be the big fish in a little pond, or whatever thinking there is behind that. But yeah,
but for the guys who haven't gone through that system and are choosing to do like the Doki route, where you haven't come up, or you haven't sort of anchored yourself with a particular dojo system, and you're just finding your way by yourself in the independents or in Mexico, then to me that's an untapped market opportunity.
I agree.
I'm not saying that there's a huge amount of people like that out there, but if they do sign people like Kukai and Yutani, and the proof of concept is there with Doki, then maybe more young Japanese wrestlers might think, yeah, you know what, I'm going to go and find my own path and make myself into a, not a big star, but at least prove yourselves and develop as a wrestler. So then that the door is open to joining New Japan, rather than finding yourself entrenched in like the Noah system or the All Japan system or whatever.
Right. And it's not like New Japan doesn't have a history of signing people that do take that route throughout their history. I mean, again, some of them are, it's not like they're plucking them from trees, mind you, but there is a history there. That's for sure. So it's not the craziest thing. I mean, not for nothing, Liger is a perfect example of that, of a guy who was constantly told, well, you're too small, you're too, you'll never, he footed the bill to go to Mexico. Doki was the same way, right? If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there is a path. If they signed one or two a year, one or two every 2 years, I don't know. I feel like that would be. So I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know why they choose some guys and not others. I don't know, but you would think that they would have their radar and their ears open and eyes open to that, and being a little bit more aggressive might be something in the future, possibly. Fingers crossed.
Well, the two teams I'll talk about as one unit: Tiger Mask and Yamato on 0 points, and Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka on 6 points. I don't know if they were supposed to be on 6 points, because Taiji Ishimori was ill earlier in the tour, so Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka got a forfeit win. So I kind of feel that, given the way the other block looks, that Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka were maybe just supposed to be on 4 points, and Taiji Ishimori and Robbie X were meant to be on 8 points, and that was going to be the winner take all match. But Let me just check if I've got that right. Yeah, so it's Eagles and Fujita against Ishimori next coming up
Yes.
on the 1st of November. So yeah, I think maybe Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka have sort of managed to finesse an extra 2 points that they weren't supposed to get. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about those teams together for the impact of the two Dragon Gate wrestlers, Yamato and Yuki Yoshioka, who I said before, they are the Open the Twin Gate, I think, tag team champions. I think that's what it's called anyway. And from what I've seen from them, like they've been really good on this tour. Like particularly the match between the two teams. I think I can't remember if it was night 1 or night 2, but there was the one match which was Tiger Mask and Yamato against Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka was really great. Like I enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. They did some really good grappling, and it made me wish that they just put the Dragon Gate guys together. Like I understand why they didn't, because political reasons. Dragon Gate don't want their champions taking pins or whatever, but don't make them take pins then. Like would anyone have really cared if they sent the Dragon Gate team all the way to the final? I wouldn't have cared. I would have thought it'd be really cool if they did that and have,
Me too.
let's say we're going with, I don't know, like Watto and Yo, they're the guys booked to win Super Junior Tag League. If they'd had to overcome the Dragon Gate tag champions in the final to do so, that would have been awesome. And maybe Dragon Gate wouldn't have wanted to play ball on that. They wouldn't want their tag champions losing at all, which fine, whatever. But I feel that would have made things a bit more exciting if we'd have had from the start, like, oh, the Dragon Gate tag champions are entering this thing. I think it would have done a lot for the excitement and prestige of the tournament. But I've enjoyed both teams even with those wrestlers separate. I like the running bit that Yamato does where he like gets the guy ready to do a suplex and he's like, New Japan fans, this is what a real suplex looks like. And then the guy escapes and then he shows again, New Japan fans, this is what a real suplex looks like. And the guy escapes. Like, that's quite a funny bit. I like a funny bit. I've been impressed with Yuki Yoshioka as well. As we know, Hiroshi Tanahashi has anointed him with the high fly flow, so he is now he will have custody of the high fly flow as a finishing move, and he's been trying to land it all tour and like just about managed it in the match against, I think it was Kanemaru and Togo that wrestled, but it was a choice that a lot of the New Japan hardcores were grumbling about, having 3 Dragon Gate wrestlers in the field. But honestly,
who's going to take their spot?
Well, yeah, this is what I'm going to say. I think this is a better way to fill up the field than, bringing in green teams from, AW or Australians, overpriced Yankoids. I think it's a smart move because it's cheap and they're really good. These are proper wrestlers. These are experienced wrestlers who've been doing it for years and years and years, and I think have helped to enhance the quality of the tag league rather than having a couple of young guys. I'm not singling out anyone in particular, but young guys come flying over from Australia who are just finding their feet and a bit nervous, a bit green, and using it as like a practice run for future things. Whereas having these Dragon Gate guys who are just like ready to go, just plug and play, looking good, high quality matches, I think that's a net positive.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, again, this is a 2-week sprint tournament. God only knows who was available and who wasn't available. It does seem a little bit like it was slapped together at the last minute, and there's pluses and minuses. We talked about it for an hour. The idea of them splitting up an established Dragon Gate champion, we get it. We understand why that's the case. It does make things a little bit more interesting. I'm going to say that. But yeah, look, the idea of having them together, I honestly would think would tear the fucking house down. And having them go deep into the tournament and having a risk of an outside team winning the tournament, I think, look, it's hard to do, and it's hard to do. Why? Because you don't want your guys to look bad if you're promotion X, if you're Dragon Gate. I get it. And again, the reason why they split up, they split them up, in this tournament are for those reasons. Get it. And they can never really do the idea of a guy going deep into a tournament and having that scare of, oh my God, this outside team is going to win this fucking thing. And I'm not saying that we're converting all these Dragon Gate fans into New Japan fans. Probably not. If you're a Dragon Gate fan, you're a Dragon Gate fan. Doesn't necessarily mean you don't dabble into New Japan, but you planted your flag. But the idea, at least for these 2 weeks, no matter how insignificant we may feel about these 2 weeks, the fact that if they were a tag team and they were going deep and there was a threat, you mean to tell me if you're a Dragon Gate fan, you're not tuning in? You're not getting hyped? You know, you're not waving your flag pretty high and got a little strut in your step? I think it makes things fun, make things interesting. And dare I say, if they were to have a match where there were a lot of at stake, and having that somewhat split crowd of Dragon Gate fans and New Japan. I mean, listen, that's a whole Premier League, if I'm not mistaken, Joe. I could be dead wrong, but the idea of having the away section and having the home supporters and having that rivalry and that back and forth, and the idea of, well, we're going to come in here and fucking take this, and the home team said, no, you're fucking not. Like, that's fun. Like, that makes things interesting. That gets people juiced up for things.
Incidentally, Damon, sorry to interrupt, but that's what they did at the Yano Super Sasanango Machine show. They split the crowd and had like all the New Japan fans wearing like red t-shirts on one side of Korakuen and all the DDT fans wearing green t-shirts on the other side. So they orchestrated it like that, and it's really fun. I wish they would do more of that.
I do too, and that's a perfect example, and that's a built-in thing that they could do. Again, if people could swallow their pride a little bit and the political ramifications that pro wrestling always seems to be knee-deep in, if we could put that aside, that would be the ideal scenario. The idea of splitting them up and having, okay, I get it. But even then, they're enjoyable. But again, what could have been, it's kind of hard to sit here and talk about what could have been because it's not going to be. But to me, that sounds like a much more fun, interesting sprint of a tournament than, okay, we just need to go out of our way to establish 3 or 4 teams.
Liliana says, I feel New Japan was conservative with not going with too much outside talent for Super Junior Tag League beside Dragon Gate. I'm wondering if it's because they're saving finances for Wrestle Kingdom 20, because it's 20 and that's a huge number of milestones. So yeah, I think that's definitely a big factor, that it is much cheaper to go with Dragon Gate talent. Well, not just Dragon Gate talent, but talent that's already in Japan, rather than having to pay for flights for people to come over. But I will say, like, I think this is a good point to kind of step back and look at the relationship with AEW and the lack of cross-promotional stuff that they've done together, because I know there were interesting comments from was it, I can't remember if it was Sugabayashi after the Wrestle Dynasty show, where he said like this was a bit disjointed. Like, if you're having a cross promotional show, you want to build up some proper rivalries better, and we didn't really do that. So yeah, this has not come out the way that we'd hoped. And since then, there's not really been much in by way of collaborative stuff, has there? I mean, if you take Takeshita as a New Japan guy, like, not a pure New Japan guy, but it's in his contract, so this is not done something that's done cross promotionally. But there wasn't a huge amount of New Japan input or collaboration for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view that they did in London. We've not got any
title changes.
AEW guys coming over for tag leagues and stuff like that. Like, it feels like they sort of pull back on that, and I don't know if that's a financial decision or creative decision to be like, maybe with this is not going in the direction we hoped it would. But I just think it's interesting to compare it with previous years where it felt like there was a lot more collaborative stuff between the two promotions. This year it feels like they've pulled back on that.
I wonder why. I wonder. Oh, let's put it this way. Let's figure out what January 4th looks like, and that might either add a little bit more flame to that smoke, Joel, or maybe everybody's all nicey nice. But so maybe.
I have a particular scenario in mind. I'm going to stick a pin in it. Like, we'll come on to it when we preview the Tanahashi Homecoming show. But there's a particular sequence of events where if it happens, then we're cracking open the
Ooh.
champagne.
Boy, are we?
We'll get back to that. What else we got? Okay, right. So Ichiban Sweet Boys, Eagles and Fujita 8 points, unbeaten. Like, no surprises here. They're the best team by far. They had a really good match on night 1 against Despi and Kukai. And my favourite match of the tournament is the night 4 main event where they wrestled against Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka. There was a brilliant closing stretch there between Fujita and Kushida, where Kushida was trying to work the armbar and get the submission on Fujita, and he was doing his best to power out of it and escape from that. That was really, really gripping stuff. I enjoyed that a lot. And they've got a new finishing move called the Interceptor. It does look like they are the team to beat in this tournament. So the setup for the 1st of November is that they need a win or a draw against Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori to advance out of the block. Right. Robbie X and Ishimori will advance with a win, but if Kushida and Yoshioka also score a win, then it will be a 3-way tie in that block. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's probably just going to be Ichiban Sweet Boys defeating Taiji Ishimori and Robbie X, who've been fine. Like, I quite like Robbie X. He's won me over. He's worked really hard, and I think he's delivered at a high level each time he's come over and worked for New Japan this year. But I just feel we're staring at the likelihood of Eagles and Fujita winning this block, facing against Yo and Wato from the other block.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, ideally, that's probably the best case scenario from a New Japan perspective, I would think. And it's kind of like one that we've sort of mapped out in our own minds when the blocks were announced. So, good on them. I think that's probably the best the best scenario for a final. Let's put it that way. And again, I like the idea of Wato and Yo as a team. Keep them together, have them putz around with these belts, and we'll see what happens.
At the kiddies table.
Yep. Yeah, let's keep them out of the meat and the potatoes. Let's give them a little plate of SpaghettiOs they can play with.
Do you have a winner in mind for that potential final?
To me, it's I mean, I think Yo and Wato are your winners. For all the things that we've said before of keeping guys out of the mix and keeping guys in the mix, I think that's where we're going, Wrestle Kingdom, for a challenge. So, I'm taking Yo and Wato.
Yeah, I could say I'd be 50-50 on it, honestly. I'll lean Wato and Yo as well, because if you're a Yo fanatic, and I know there are lots of them in Japan who follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, he, aside from, I think he's a 6-man champion, but being a losing, it feels like he's sort of lost all the big matches he's been in. So, maybe that would be, and I'm saying this full in the knowledge that Yo is a multi-time Super Junior Tag League winner with Sho as part of Roppongi 3K. But let's face it, he's better off in a tag team than he is as a singles wrestler. And
Absolutely.
That might be something that the Yo fans enjoy, like him getting to win Super Junior Tag League, and maybe they become junior tag champions. Who knows? Who cares? But it would be sad for Robbie Eagles if that's not the case, because I feel he is very underutilized. He's a fantastic wrestler, not just in the ring, but sort of his creative mind as well, and his ability to come up with interesting storylines and help get other people over. Wouldn't rule out the possibility of them winning it either. That I'd be fine with that. But I'm almost wondering if they actually have the junior tag titles defended on Wrestle Kingdom because if
I think opening match, and
if
find a
Donkey's
way.
still champion, if he's double champion, so he'd have to lose one of those belts before Wrestle Kingdom, wouldn't he?
Yeah, you would think.
There's plenty of time for that to happen, though.
There is, and they always have those Corkin shows beforehand too. So, the Christmassy shows. So, yeah, you would think. But again, I'm kind of sticking to the idea of having some kind of 3-way schmaz open up the show. I think that would be the best bet. Because I got to be honest with you, I hate to have it in the scenario that I have kind of mapped out that does exclude our TMDK friends. So just to get them in the mix, get them on the show, get them a payday, get them in the mix with a 3-way.
So that match will be featured. The Super Junior Tag League final will be on the Hiroshi Tanahashi Final Homecoming Gifu Memorial Center this Sunday, November 2nd. So obviously more matches will be announced at the time, but at the time of recording, we only have 3 matches announced. So that Super Junior Tag League final, and we also have the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, Yota Tsuji versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. Any chance that Tanahashi wins that and takes that title into Wrestle Kingdom? I don't think so. I think this is Tsuji getting his win back from the G1, and I know everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people are saying, oh, the retirement match would be him putting over a young guy. No, that's wrong. I can see why you're saying that. This is the moment for that. So whilst I'm tentative to use the term passing the torch, because Hiroshi Tanahashi has put over an obscene number of wrestlers in the past few years, if you're going to have like one clear, significant match where you're like, this is Tanahashi's losing to this guy and anointing him as the next savior of New Japan or whatever, this is the show and the time to do it. So I feel this is going to be Tanahashi giving his seal of approval in this big spot to Yota Tsuji and be like, yeah, you're the guy, you're taking us into the future, and giving him that seal of approval for him to go on and probably challenge in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom, if we're believing all this stuff about the global title being used as a ticket to challenge in the main event. And yeah, for a big occasion like this, I'm sure that they will deliver. I'm sure the match will be good, and I would be picking Yota Tsuji to win.
Look, there are times where we think this company is run by a crazy asylum, but there's no way Hiroshi Tanahashi's winning this match. I would be shocked if that were the case. And the scenario that you laid out, global champion, punching his ticket, challenging for the world title at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that's where we're headed. This is the time if Tanahashi's going to lose to anybody. It's going to be Tsuji. It's going to be here. It's going to be somewhat of a spotlight, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I think a lot of people are hopeful that something gets announced on this show for an opponent at Wrestle Kingdom. I think a lot will. I think where voices were at one point at a murmur and a mumble, and they've grown louder and louder with each passing day and week and show, where nothing is announced, no match has been named, no opponent has been named. Like, the time is ticking. The clock is ticking. I would expect. I'll tell you what, if they don't announce it at this show, if they don't,
let's just get a timestamp here so we can open next week's show. This, go on. What are you going to do if they don't?
If they don't announce that main event, or not main event, but that retirement match, the last match, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the match that this fucking dome is built on this show coming up.
Yourself with Semtex.
I am not going to do shit.
Suidabashi.
I am not. I'm going to sigh loudly, but I'll also say, boy, oh boy, once again, the politics are dancing, and look. there are lots. There's a ton of rumblings, and it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out what those rumblings are. And I think you'll hear a lot more louder voices talking about what is going on with New Japan Pro Wrestling if, in fact, we don't have an announcement on this show. Let's put it that way. I think a lot of the codes of silence that a lot of people have are might be broken at that point. So let's see what happens, shall we?
Okay, give me 3 potential opponents and like percentage likelihood of it happening. Your percentage doesn't have to add up to 100, by the way.
Good. Nakamura. It's let's put it this way. It's between Nakamura and I think Okada, right? And you can see where that in and itself is a challenge, right? Because someone on each side of the wall is going to be upset with the other and upset with the idea of that person in that match as opposed to this person in that. And that goes on both sides of the U.S. wall. It's interesting, the world we live in, right? There's a lot going on. There are plenty of things that have gone on in the past year to get us to where we are right now. And again, as of the last that we heard, it's been a lot of I've heard. This has been said, but nothing is etched in stone, in concrete. And you would think that it would be by this point on this show. So again, I'm looking forward to hearing it on this show. If it doesn't happen, I think it's safe to assume that there's a lot of shit going on in the background, and which, unfortunately, New Japan is a pawn in all this. And they can't even fucking book their own goddamn big show of the year. It's an amazing time to be alive. Let's put it that way. We'll see. But I think it's between Nakamura and Okada. And again, you can see where that might be a problem.
Give us your percentage, and who do you think it's going to be?
I still think it's Nakamura, so I think it's 80% Nakamura, 20% Okada, and then 1% Jushin Liger.
I think it should be Taguchi. So,
well, I know you should. Who should be, but who will it be? Yeah. Who are you saying, Joel?
I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. I don't. If it's not Nakamura, I'm going to be upset. Let's put it that way.
Why are you going to be upset?
Just because that's the choice that makes sense. You know, that would match the sense.
Well, why wouldn't they do it if it makes sense, Joe?
Well, because
I want to see how far I can push this.
Very tricky to negotiate with. Okay, right, fine. Like we're dancing around this. Everyone knows what we are saying, right. But let me lay out a scenario for you. So we've got another match here, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, where IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Konosuke Takeshita is defending against Hiroki Goto. Now, I will talk about that match in a bit, but I just want to lay out a scenario for you. So let's say Yota Tsuji wins. Tanahashi's like, yeah, you're the guy. Well done. Good luck in Wrestle Kingdom. And he goes off backstage. And then Tanahashi's in the ring, gets soaking up all the applause. And then Subconscious hits and we get Nakamura comes out, or video package or whatever. And Nakamura's like, oh, one last time, you and me, the Tokyo Dome. And everyone's like, oh. And then in the subsequent match, Hiroki Goto pins Konosuke Takeshita to become World Heavyweight Champion. Yep. What would those two outcomes suggest to you? What would be the significance of both of those outcomes coming true?
Boy, to me, that would scream. And trust me, that is a scenario that if New Japan wanted to just fucking wash their hands of this bullshit, they could be like, fuck this.
Scorched earth.
Yep. If they wanted to go scorched earth, they could say, you know what? Fuck this noise. And say, I got a guy who the fans love, who the fans would probably enjoy Hiroki Goto getting a surprise win again and saying, you know what? We're going to do what we want to do. And it's not like this title match is just some fucking haphazard, let's throw it together. Because everybody and their mother is like, well, Hiroki Goto, he had a great year. And he surprised everyone. And he still got plenty in the tank. And, okay, did the title run go a little longer than expected? Yeah, but again, in hindsight being 2020, I don't think anybody really gave up shit how long it went. It was fine. And it ended when it had to end. Again, you could say David Finlay needed that belt more, whatever. They could look. New Japan Pro Wrestling isn't complaining when the fucking check comes from those Forbidden Door gates. Like they're not complaining. They're cashing the check. They're not giving back any money. But, and we've said it before, is all of this worth it? Is all of this worth it? And you have, like the brass of New Japan Pro Wrestling questioning that at the actual events of, hey, this felt a little haphazard and slapped together and all that shit. You could end it and say, you know what? I think we're good. We're going to do what we want to do. We're going to do what we want to do. And I don't think anyone from a New Japan Pro Wrestling side would be like, Now, again, does that mean that they can't go on, these fucking random AEW shows and, okay, but maybe something else could be worked in another way. Who knows? All I'm saying is this. To me, if you're asking me right now, the ideal scenario, you nailed it. Goto wins. We wash our hands of the situation. Nakamura's your match. Everyone's pants are fucking down. And away we go. That would be the most ideal. And you mean to tell me there wouldn't be dancing in the fucking streets if you're a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan? Like, you would be like...
The Super J-Gods Discord would ascend to a higher plane of existence if we're coming out of this show with our top two Wrestle Kingdom matches being Goto versus Tsuji and Nakamura versus Tanahashi.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm all in on that. I'm absolutely fucking all in on that. I truly am. Look, as much as I think he's a stud, and as much as I think that if things were different, he could be an absolute benefit right now, the juice isn't worth the squeeze to me. I'm all aboard on Goto winning this belt. I'm all aboard of New Japan Pro Wrestling doing what they think is best for their business on January 4th. Look, tickets are already being sold hand over fist. And they're going to have a nice fat gate. And that's without all this nonsense that is in the background. If they just imagine just them saying, you know what? Fuck this. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? And enough is enough. And they say, you know what? That's a better scenario than what we have to deal with right now. I'm all aboard, man. I am 1,000% on board that fucking train, Joel.
Yeah, I don't want to get my hopes up too much because
I know.
Whilst that would be extremely funny, like the prospect of New Japan getting the Nakamura deal done being so unpalatable to certain people that it affects the outcome of the world title match, that would be hilarious. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I mean, in terms of this World Heavyweight Championship match, Takeshita versus Goto, I read the interview. Takeshita did an interview for the New Japan website. And it was just nothing. He's not a very interesting man. He's a really good wrestler. I'll give him that. But he is just fighting against so many things that are against him that are going to prevent him, obstacles for him being a top star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, at the very least as a babyface. I mean, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. Like, one of the better wrestlers in the world. Totally. I'm not disputing that. But there's nothing that he does in the ring that New Japan fans haven't seen many, many times before.
Correct.
He's an outsider.
Correct.
Both from the DDT thing and the AEW thing. And the fans don't trust that he's not just going to fuck off back to AEW, because they know where the power imbalance is there. And even if you think about guys like, Kota Ibushi or Kenny Omega, who managed to overcome that outsider status and win the hearts of New Japan fans, that's at years. That's at years of being pretty much a regular on the New Japan roster and working the tours.
Working
those
the tours.
two examples, working as junior heavyweights, doing their time as juniors, and then finally proving themselves in that, and then ascending to heavyweight. That took a really long time to win over the New Japan fans and be accepted as New Japan pro wrestlers. There is no shortcut to that. You cannot force that. If they want to invest in Takeshita and have him as like a proper full-time regular guy, then yeah, I could see him winning over the New Japan fans if he is there working all the tour, or at least most of the tours, and being there and putting the grind in for, I would say, at least 2 years. But I just don't think that's what's going to happen. And I think whoever made this decision, that they think they could just sort of plug this guy in and him to become an immediately accepted top babyface in New Japan, is horribly ill-informed and misguided. Yeah, because I was in favor of him getting parachuted to the top of the company, but as a heel, as an outsider heel, that was the only way it made sense, and that would have been great. They've not done that, and now the whole thing is dramatically compromised to the point at which I really hope Hirooki Goto beats him. And I've got my own issues with Goto. I would have loved to have seen, when he was on this hot run as champion, him defend the title against a young wrestler that wasn't an accident. He defended it against Callum Newman. Where's Callum Newman, by the way? I can't find him in the fucking search party. Yeah. But yeah, that was obviously supposed to be Jeff Cobb. So the fact that he was exclusively defending it against old people makes me think. But even so, I'll set that to one side and think, you know what? It would just be so funny and good for Hirooki Goto to win this match and to have Wrestle Kingdom headlined by two dojo guys. I think that would be really cool. I think they've got the chemistry together, Goto and Tsuji. They had a brilliant New Japan Cup final last year that nobody was expecting, and it tore the house down, so they can dig back into that and have the old guard of New Japan against the new guard of New Japan. That would be a brilliant story for the main event of the Tokyo Dome, and Goto's got that, maybe some sort of star power rub as being E Honda in the Street Fighter. I don't know how much that counts or anything, but at the very least I would say the great title reign that he had earlier in the year has qualified him to get a spot in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. I'd have absolutely no issues with that. So I really hope it is Goto who wins, but I don't think it will be. The sort of more cynical, realistic part of my brain says, yeah, they're going ahead with this Takeshita thing, and I could see it kind of make narrative sense. The We Work Stiff guys did a good segment on this. This was several months ago at this point, but I can't remember when they did it actually, but they spoke very, they digged into all the nuances of it and the way that it would make sense narratively to have Takeshita overcoming Goto and that, clearly declaring Takeshita as the top guy in New Japan, for then hopefully him to get dethroned by someone like a Yota Tsuji. But that story doesn't work for me. I don't see Konosuke Takeshita as anything more than an outsider at this point. And yeah, it's just not particularly interesting as a babyface or a tweener, or however you want to describe it. Like, he's clearly not presented as an out and out hero, which he should be. So let's go Goto. Prayer circle for Hirooki Goto.
Let's do it. I mean, and here's the thing with Takeshita though. It's like I just feel like he's just caught in the crossfire. Like he's also, it feels like, somewhat of a pawn in all this. because under different circumstances, I don't necessarily have a problem with him going into Wrestle Kingdom and not main eventing, but defending the title. I don't. The problem that I have, Joel, is that once again, is the juice worth the squeeze here? Like all this. Look again. This fucking show is based off of this retirement match. I hate to break the bad news to people, and the idea of this being held up in any way, shape, or form by both sides, quite honestly, is somewhat preposterously ludicrous to me. It's unbelievable. And you have to kind of go back to be like, okay, so how is this helping us? How is all of this helping us? So, like, my excitement over the title possibly being swapped, yeah, do I want Goto to win? I think it'd be fine. It'd be great. To me, this is more of clean slate. And you know what? We're not going to be bullied, and we're going to do what we want to do. And if we want to go this route, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. We're doing it. And if you're going to be a bitch, then fuck you even harder in the mouth. Because guess what? We'll do whatever the fuck we want. Like, I kind of want a little bit more of that attitude. Now, that seems even more ludicrous and preposterous, right? The way that New Japan does business. But, like, if we're fantasy fucking booking, I'm fantasy booking this entire relationship. And I just right now am really passionate about this partnership, and I put that in fucking air quotes, helps New Japan in a very minimal way. And that minimal way is every so often we get a nice check in the mail. Give me another reason why this is like, we got people that are give them a big middle finger and tell them to go fuck their mothers. Drop the belt. Have some balls. Have some fucking guts and say, you know what? Not only are we doing this, but fuck you. We're good. And you don't want to show up on tours, and you don't want to do fucking this, and you want to be a part-time lover. Great. We're good. We're good. We're moving on. And I would have no problem with that. Now's not the time. Then that's not to say that a year from now, 2 years from now, when things might be different, by all means, it's just not about Takeshita. It really isn't. It's more about, okay, you're fucking with us, we can fuck right back with you.
Let me just lay out one last scenario,
Yes.
which has been suggested by some people online. How would you feel about a potential Wrestle Kingdom main event of Konosuke
Three-way
Takeshita defending against Okada?
Look, I don't think anybody's going to question the match itself. I think the match will be spectacular. I think the match would be awesome. Tell me how that helps the company.
It helps a company.
Right. Right. So again,
I think it's going to happen. It doesn't. We've discussed this before. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I have seen those suggestions popping up online. So I'm not. I'm taking those with a heavy pinch of salt. I don't think that makes any sense for a New Japan Pro Wrestling. Certainly not their biggest show of the year anyway. Like, it's a great match. Do fucking AEW TV. 2 AEW wrestlers. Do that on your show.
right. And like, I don't think New Japan would do it just because, to me, that takes a lot of spotlight off of what this show is built on. And it doesn't help them for the future. And there's just so much that's like, okay, it's going to be a great match, but we're going to have a great match just to have a great match. And for all the other reasons, we're just going to put aside. I don't know. I'm again like the guy who wants to see a great Wrestle Kingdom main event. Yeah, I mean, I'd be stupid to sit here and tell you that. Oh no, it's so, no, they wouldn't. It would be awesome. In the same breath, it does nothing for New Japan Pro Wrestling. It really doesn't. And there are more eyeballs on the product. Shut the fuck up, because I don't want any more eyeballs on the product. I gotta be honest with you. There's enough annoying people watching it already. I want less.
Yeah, put your eyeballs on my cock and balls.
Hey, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah. How's that feel, Joe? I'm staring at your balls. Oh, it's great. Thank you. Yes. Again. No. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Thanks, but no thanks. Right, see you next week.
My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, The Bad, and The Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.